Alright, hello and welcome to the first video in this series on how to use a TI nSpire. So this video will cover just some basic navigation techniques, how to navigate your calculator, and how to set up your settings in a way that will work for you. So of course the first thing you're going to want to do is to create a page where you can do all of your calculations. So I'm looking at this home screen. And if you've never set up your calculator, then you won't have any documents. So I'm going to go to number 1, which will say either new or new document. So I can either click enter, or I see that there's a 1 next to my new document. So I can just click 1 to open that up. So you see this menu pops up. We have 10 different options. And to start off, we're going to just create a calculator page. So I'm going to click 1, and that will create a calculator page. So one of the first things that a lot of people like to configure is just how many decimal places or how many digits are shown whenever you make a calculation. So if I were to just do like 5 divided by 6, and to get a decimal answer, I'll cover this in a later video as well, but to get a decimal answer for this, you're going to want to click Control Enter. And I see that it gives me 4 digits, and it's also set up for scientific notation. We'll address that later. So it gives me 4 digits. Well, let's say that for whatever reason we want it to show 10 digits. I'm going to go to Doc, and then number 7 says Settings and Status. I'm going to go to number 2, and that's where I'm going to change all of my document settings. So here at the top we have Display Digits, and for now it's set to float 4, which means it's going to show 4 digits in all my answers. Well, if I wanted to show 10, all I have to do is go here, scroll down to 10, change that, and now you'll notice whenever I do 5 divided by 6, it gives me a lot more decimal places. There's various reasons why you might want to do this. For example, like on calculator, whenever you have like $ problems, it's possible that you'll have you have a case where you have like in the millions of dollars, but you still have to show this 2 cents at the end, like the hundredths place at the end for your cents to get full credit. So that's how you change the number of decimal places that are shown. The next thing, and I've already mentioned this briefly, is how to change between normal notation and scientific notation. So you may have noticed it whenever I went to the page before, but once again, you go to Doc, Settings and Status, Document Settings, and here where it says Exponential Format, I'm going to click that, and then if I want it to be normal, I'll click Normal. I'm already in scientific, so I'll go ahead and try normal. So now if I do 5 divided by 6, notice this is just in regular notation. I don't have any like times 10 to the minus first. I just have 0.833333. So personally, I like to use the normal notation whenever I'm doing the math contest and the scientific notation when I'm doing the calculator contest. But it really is just preference, right? It's just up to you. The next thing is changing it between degrees and radians. So you might notice that in the top right here, we have this button that says radians. If we wanted to change that to degrees, a really simple thing we can do is we can use the middle of our touchpad, and we can just left click, or I'm on a computer, so I'm left clicking, I suppose. But you would just click on the middle of this cursor, and that would change it to degrees. Some calculators don't have this functionality. I imagine it has something to do with not having the fully updated version of the calculator, but that's okay. There's still other ways that you can change it. Once again, we're going to go to Doc, and then Settings and Status, and Document Settings, right? Hopefully you're getting familiar with this set of keystrokes. And you see where it says angle, we're going to go ahead and just change this to radians. So now if I were to find the sine of like pi over 4, this would give me square root of 2 over 2. Now I'm in degrees, where if I try to take the sine of 45, that would also give me square root of 2 over 2. The other thing that you can do that some people like to like to take advantage of is using the Scratchpad. And using the Scratchpad, I can actually configure the Scratchpad in a way that will be just the opposite angle measure from this. So the way to get to the Scratchpad is, you see this button right here underneath our escape and right above tab. If I click that, I can configure this to be in radians. And so now my regular document page is in degrees. I go to my Scratchpad, I'll be in radians. So I can switch back and forth relatively quickly just by pressing this button. The one downfall of this is now you can't use your programs. You can't use any of your user-made programs in the Scratchpad. You can still use all the things that the calculator, like the factory programs that come with the calculator. Like you can still do like integrals and that kind of thing. But you won't be able to use any of your user-defined programs. I've actually set this up backwards from the way that I like to have it, because I set up a lot of my programs in radians. So I usually keep my Scratchpad in degrees and my document in radians. That's usually the way I set it up. Okay, so that's how to change between your different angle measures. The next thing you're going to want to know how to do is how to create a new page. So when you're creating a new page, maybe you want to graph something and you want to set up a graph page. The way you do that, you click Control and then plus page right here, and you see number 2 says Add Graphs. So I'm going to click that. Now let's say I want to graph like 2x plus 1, right? Nothing too crazy. But you see up here now I have 2 pages. I have my 1.1 and my 1.2. My 1.1 is my calculator page. My 1.2 is my graph page. So let's say I want to get back over to my calculator page. Well, one thing I can do, I can just use my touchpad and click on this 1.1. That's not my favorite way to do it. My favorite way to do it, I think, is a lot more efficient because everyone knows that the nSpire touchpad is not exactly the greatest thing. What I do instead is I do Control and then my left arrow right here. So if I could do Control and left arrow, that'll send me to the page to the left. If I could do Control and then right arrow, that'll send me the page to the right. If I have a lot of pages and it's hard to navigate, I can do Control up arrow and it'll show me all of my pages. And you can, over the course of your document, you may end up having a lot more pages, especially if you're creating like a document that has a lot of programs in it. You're going to end up having a lot of pages. Well, let's say for whatever reason now you don't want your graph page anymore, and I want to delete it. So I'll hover over the graph page with my cursors, with this blue highlight, and then I'll just click delete. And now all I have left is my calculator page. Okay, so that's about it on navigating your calculator and just using those basic settings. I will be going over a lot more things in future videos, so make sure you check those out. Hopefully you learned something. If you're brand new to the TI nSpire, make sure you check out my future videos. And if you learned something, leave a like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.